part of the history of wine in Petaluma wraps up inside of the Sangiacomo family. And Angelo and Buck are with us today. This is a beautiful day on a beautiful parcel. And thank you for joining us. And Angelo, tell us about your family history coming here to Petaluma. Your parents, when they first came here back in 1926, they looked at this after coming from Italy and looked at it as crops for pears and whatnot, didn't they?
Our original purchase was in pears, apples, prunes, cherries, and then when the grape industry started moving and expanding, we in 1969 got some grape land and we started planting in the Sonoma side of Carneros here.
And Buck, your brother was Angelo. This has been a family affair for all these decades, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And once we finally got into the grape business again, I mean, after the pears, it was started to take off, and it's really gone, and it's just a nice business to be in, and you meet a lot of people, and that glass of wine is good for your health, but it helps your dancing too. Don't forget that.
Well, this property, it started as grapes, I understand, back in the 1890s, and then it rolled to pears and whatnot, and now it's rolled to grapes again. And I imagine it's the younger generation that you're looking forward to continuing the legacy and the vitality and all of the farming of grapes on this particular parcel. And we have your sons with us to tell us about that story as well. So let's meet them. Your name?
Steve Sangiacomo.
And your?
Mike Sangiacomo.
And the two of you now, you have taken this family heritage and you're taking it down into another generation. What's that like to know that you're part of the history of this parcel and will be forevermore?
Well, I think it's important that, you pay testament to your heritage and you kind of learn from the older generation. My parents and uncles and aunt learned from their parents, and they've taught them a lot of the values and principles of farming and most importantly of life. And so we're learning from them, and we hopefully be able to teach that to our children as well and pass it on.
Parents, tell us about what the Italian tradition meant to you.
Well, we learned how to eat, that's for sure. I can tell you that. No, I mean, our grandparents were, I think, very critical and, provide a great opportunity for us to learn the foundation for heritage and family. And
it really centered around family and the dinner table, lunches. My best memories of our grandparents is them setting the table, sitting down, eating together. But it's still, it always was about family. Our grandmother was obviously, the cornerstone of the family, and she just encouraged us to get along. And those traditions still hold true today with, my children and my brother's children and my sister's children.
What about your philosophy to this? Is this a sustainable agriculture? Is it something, do you do dry farming? Do you do drip farming? What are the steps that you take now? What are the steps that you envision you'll have to take into the future?
No, absolutely. There are limited resources and stuff, and I think it's very sustainable. They don't require a lot of grapes. Do not require a lot of inputs. There is some dry farming going on, but for the most part, grapes do need a little amount of water, and there is enough natural rainfall in our area, fortunately, to sustain that.
And I'll add, I think as we go to the future of grape growing, I think that technology is really on our side. So there's a lot of scientific instruments out there. There you talk about, retaining resources. And so we're really using all of our resources efficiently. But, for us, I mean, as growers, we, quantity is important, but quality is number one, because if the wine isn't good, and no matter how much, doesn't matter what you have in the bottle, if it's not good, then, people aren't going to, it's more difficult to sell. So
the grapes that are grown here, Pinot and Chardonnay, is that all that you grow, or do you have other properties where you grow other varietals?
For the most part, that's it. We're in the cooler regions. Chardonnay and Pinot Noir are the most ideally suited varieties for these regions and these soils.
Well, it all comes down to just kind of your terroir size, soil, but most importantly, temperature. And I think when you start planting, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay especially, you really have to really be dialed in on what the climate is in each area.
We could see, though, the grapes industry was growing in Sonoma and Napa County, and better expansion for us would be the expanding into the grape thing was a natural for us with So the grape industry was growing, and we were happy with the quality that was growing near us and so forth. So it just gave us a push to get going and doing it. And we haven't been sorry that we've done it.
How many different parcels do you have?
We're mostly all in Sonoma County. We do have a little ranch over in Napa.
Overall, how many acres would you have? Perhaps in the Petaluma Gap, but overall you mentioned you have out in Napa. What's the size of the scope of the operation that your family's running?
Yeah, we have about 1,600 acres total. 300 acres are in the Petaluma Gap.
When this started, the business, when you converted to the grapes, were you out in the fields working with the laborers yourself?
Yes, we were always out in the fields, and even today, yeah. The people are in the office, but you still have to oversee everything that's going on there.
What about finding a labor force? Are you able to stock your labor force enough to get your harvest in and do all of the work that's necessary to be done?
You know, we're fortunate. We have a lot of multi-generational families that actually work for us.
We talk about growing grapes. I mean, it's the least amount of input you can put in. That's how you improve the quality. You know, trying to let them grow in their natural state as much as possible.
Process.
Yeah, we are strictly a grower. We do have a lot of vineyard designates where wineries will put, Sangiacomo Vineyards, or they'll put special vineyards on the label of ours. So we have about 38 vineyard designates that are out in the marketplace. So
If somebody wants to shop local, how do they make sure they're getting your bottle of wine that was grown on this parcel that was part of the Vallejo Land Trust?
Well, I think if you go on we have a website, SangiacomoVineyards.com. We have a list of all our wineries and clients and our vineyard designates that lists all of them. That a lot of them are direct with the vineyard designates, so you have to go on their website. Occasionally you'll see one in the marketplace. But
When your parents came over here and when you took over the operation and handed off generationally now to your kids, and you can tell that the land is in good hands, the future is in good hands. Did you ever dream that this is what it would all lead to? Did your parents dream to this?
I've thought of that a lot. I think that they certainly were always behind us and anything that we wanted to do, particularly when it came to expansion. Very, very happy to know what we've done.
The American viticulture area, that's a term. Is this a separate area here in the Petaluma Gap? What does it mean to the Petaluma Gap?
Well, yeah, the AVAs is within Sonoma County. There's 16 AVAs now, and it kind of continues to grow as kind of each little part of Sonoma County kind of just defines itself as just being a little unique and just a different style. So with that, Petaluma Gap is a portion of Sonoma Coast, and so I always say Petaluma Gap is very fortunate because there's a 10-mile gap out in the ocean. They get all the ocean influence that kind of pours through.
Well, I actually think that in doing all the research that this part of Sonoma County is probably one of the most important and earliest areas of viticulture. I mean, it's started with Vallejo. He was here, and Beeler, Fair, the Marcucci's, Lockman and Jacoby. I mean, it's rich. I mean, the earliest history of Sonoma County began right here. We had Beeler had the largest wine grape holdings of anywhere in the state at one time.
Tell us about the Heinz book and why you helped commission that and got that work done.
I was interested in this area, and I had followed several of the reports that William Heinz had done, and I thought he did them exceptionally well and had a deep interest in history. And so when we decided that we were going to make our move over here, he's one of the first guys that I got a hold of.
All right, so what do we want to add about the Heinz book? I'm sure you've studied that.
I have. It's the quintessential document that portrays the history of this part of Sonoma County, the Lakeville region.
Once we came over and kind of got experience and a feel for just the quality of fruit and wines that can come from Petaluma Gap, we kind of committed more as the years went on. I think there's a lot of the promise and future of Petaluma Gap is very bright, and I think it's definitely on the upswing. So you're starting to see some of the best wines in the world come out of this region, along with Sonoma County as well.
So I think Petaluma Gap has some marketing cachet, and I think people are going to use that because there is some uniqueness to this area, being a high quality area.
The Sangiacomo family, 2 generations with us. They've been here for multi-generations and will be forevermore. Angelo, Buck, Mike, and Steve, thank you so much for being with us. I'm David Glass, the mayor of Petaluma, and until next time, it's been nice talking to you.